Welcome to For Real. It's time to communicate and get real about relationships with your host, Liesel, Daisley, and psychologist, Krisnan Hurdle. So join us for real. Hello and welcome back to another exciting show of For Real, your relationship talk show. I'm your host, Liesel Daisley, and joining me once more is our resident psychologist and life coach, Krisnan Hurdle. Welcome, Krisnan.
Present.
Such a pleasure to have you, as always.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and
Yes.
also to have you as well.
Such a pleasure. Well, today we want to discuss something that is a hot topic because everybody's talking about it, and that's gender roles.
Okay.
You know, right now people are seeking gender equality and that type of thing. So we really want to trash out, as this is real talk, gender roles.
All right.
So do you think that gender roles can put pressure on a relationship or make or break a relationship?
Yeah, I think that men and women traditionally have had certain responsibilities that have been understood to be carried by one or the other gender. And when those things are, of course, expected, it could be expected of the person or it could be expected by the partner. And when these things are expected, it could be a source of conflict.
Yeah.
Especially where it is not where both people aren't on the same page. But it is also, one of the things about expectations is that it also causes us to have something to live up to. It could cause us to have something to live up to, and it could also be a source of conflict.
Yeah.
So gender roles does tend to be one of the predispositions. Gender roles tends to be one of the things that people come into the relationship with, and they they project it on each other.
Yeah.
And they also can hold it for themselves, can hold it as a standard for themselves.
Yeah. Well, we are in a new era. You know, it's 2022, and what I guess I want to know is, are the roles defined still? Like, what is the role of the man? What is the role of the woman in the relationship? Or are we playing on an even playing field?
I think that you will always, first of all, I believe that there is masculine and feminine energy.
Okay.
There are characteristics of masculinity and characteristics of femininity. And because of those characteristics, people have they have a predisposition to certain activities as someone who identifies as masculine and as feminine.
Okay.
And so with these energy, masculine and feminine energy, there are specific roles that are associated. One of the things that I say to clients, and one of the things that I say in other spaces as well, that men and women aren't the same. And even in the job or the professional context, people want equality. We aren't the same.
It's true.
Men are from Mars and women from Venus.
So true.
And so we must accept that we aren't the same, and we must understand what fits best for our gender and also our personalities. And so things like women being home takers, homemakers. Why is this? Because women are generally incubators. Women grow things very well.
Yeah.
Women are good at nurturing.
Yeah.
Women are nurturers. Men, as leaders and as initiators, men can bring out a good idea, have a vision, and lay a good idea on the table, but he may not be the best organizer and the best manager of the resources.
Okay.
And so, just as an example, using that as an example, in a relationship, you might find that one partner has a particular strength and another partner has another strength. and we can complement each other where we can work together. But it doesn't mean that we have to be fighting for the same roles.
Yeah.
And where one person brings a masculine energy or energy in one area, the other person must be able or should be able to balance out and bring the not the counteract but the equal opposite, so to speak.
Okay.
Right, where one person might, as I said, be the idea giver and the visionary, where the other person nurtures. One person brings the seed, and the other person develops the seed and manages the seed, manages the idea.
Yeah.
So those roles, I think, are relatively consistent, and you'll find that we'll never do away with it because there will always be the feminine role in the relationship and the masculine role in the relationship.
Okay. Now let's bring it closer to home, pun intended, because what I want to know is, are there specific roles for the man in the home,
right,
and specific roles for the woman in the home?
These things can be agreed upon.
Okay.
These things can be agreed upon, and I think it's something that should be communicated as you are courting, dating, or in preparation for marriage.
Yeah.
Even after you get married, you are supposed to still be communicating about these issues, because people also go through different transitions.
Yeah.
Career changes of life, health, exactly. And so once we establish this is what I will do, this is what I agree to do, this is what fits best with me, the man might find that in some cases the man might be a accountant, and so he might be better with the money.
Right.
While the woman might be better with something else.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, the woman is better with the money, the man is better with something else, and so we understand how we work together and communicate clearly about who does what. So I don't want to get into to specifics.
Yeah.
All I'll say is you really need to be communicating about what we do and what we're capable of doing, what our strengths are, and what we bring to the table.
Yeah, and it's a good idea, like you said, to do that while you're dating, while you're courting, even in your premarital counseling.
Yes.
Make sure and have that conversation. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Of course, I'm not going to let that go. So are men's brains wired differently and women's brains wired differently to deal with conflict and to deal with romance?
I do believe so.
Okay.
We can go down a very deep rabbit hole, but I think it's not so much rabbit hole. I think it's more so seen as controversial because of initiatives and agendas where people now have disagreements on what is normal or what is baseline. So because of these things, you tend to hear, well, that is not a man's role and this is not a woman's role.
Right.
But I do believe that women and men are wired differently, because a man comes in with biological differences. He comes in with how we socialize. Men are socialized a certain way. Even the expectations, even if he comes up in a female-dominated or single-parent, woman-led home, there will be certain expectations of what he does. Men are generally stronger. Men are generally faster. Men are generally more powerful physically. It does not mean that they don't have the mental capabilities aren't the same, but how they think through situations. Women tend to have a predisposition to looking at safety, right? Looking for safety and looking for protection. Women tend to be, in some cases, these are tendencies. Yes. Less more risk averse. Yes. Right? So less risky.
Yes. So we wouldn't walk down the street late at night alone.
And some people think that that's why men die faster, women live longer, because
they take less risk.
They take less risk. But yeah, they are interested. Women do naturally have an inclination towards safety and being protected. Yeah. And as a result of that, they will think through situations in their masculine or feminine predispositions. So being a nurturer, being a manager, being an organizer as a woman, and in a male's case, he might be more of an initiator. He might be a a facilitator. He might be driven to do things, but he might not be the best organized. So his view might be the bigger picture,
right?
While the woman's view might be more specific, detail oriented.
Okay.
The man's role might be let's solve the problem, while the woman is like let's we're not about solving problems, we're about understanding what the problem is.
Right.
Understanding and unearthing the problem.
Yeah.
And so that's where we find the differences in male and female neurology or thinking processes, psychology and thinking processes.
Yeah, I'm glad that you ended on that note, because it's going to lead right into my next question. Because when a woman is in conflict with her partner, she would tend to call up her mother, call up her girlfriends, and just talk about the problem, talk about the conflict that she just had.
Yeah.
Whereas men tend to, and you stressing on this word tend to, revert, go into his quiet space and quiet place, think about what happened, and think about how he can solve the problem, think about his next move and how maybe he can avoid it in the future. Whereas, women tend to, get on the phone and call up everybody that they know and talk about it. Is that something that is normal? Do men really revert, or do y'all like just call up your old guy friends too? And
I think to understand that, we have to understand, going back to masculine and feminine energy, the alpha trait in men. The alpha trait is about being dominant or being capable, and ego is a part of the alpha, as a significant part of the alpha trait.
Okay.
And so we don't, as the alpha trait says, or the alpha trait suggests, that we don't show weakness. We don't need to seek help. We can try to solve problems on our own.
Okay.
Because if we show weakness, if we show that we're incapable, it is a weakness. It leaves us vulnerable to be overpowered by another who is stronger. Ego comes in and says, I cannot let people see that I am struggling.
Yeah.
I must be.
Yeah, Tarzan.
Yeah. So the ego, the alpha trait says, I must deal with it on my own.
Yes.
More so individualistically. But men also do have a tendency to talk about things. I spoke in another episode about how women are more feely.
Yes, I remember that word.
More sensitive to subtle emotions. Men aren't so much. They aren't socialized, and we'd also suggest that they aren't built that way. So, women might get caught up in her feelings and revert to talking about her feelings with others, because it's also part of how they were socialized.
Yes.
And we find this across cultures. This is not just something that happens in our Western society. As a matter of fact, you find that people are more individualistic in Western society than they are in some of those older societies.
True.
So people tend to be more communal, which just shows the traits of women, the gender traits, where women, even though we're in an individualistic society, there's still the tendency to call up the women at the top, to confide. While the man goes into his shell, he seeks to solve the problem by himself. But because of our individualistic community, we find that we don't have the opportunities to speak, like have these elder meetings like we had here in previous societies.
Call in the elders.
Call in the elders and talk with the boys. It doesn't happen so much now because we don't have as much community. However, you would still find men gathering at sports events, around rum shops, cures, mechanic, the things that men have an interest in. They will gather together, and even though they might not tend to deal with their weaknesses, they do still talk. And I think I want to pull a plug here for men getting together and really finding that person in your life who you can talk to, find that person in your life who you can confide in, find that male figure who is a role model who you can say, this is a strong, solid, confident man who I will talk to, who will give me good, wise advice. I'm really encouraging us to do that more.
Yeah, well, you heard that advice, very good advice. It's advice that can work for both men and women. Find somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can confide in, somebody that you trust, that you know will hold your information privately.
And also hold you accountable.
And hold you accountable. Someone that would not agree with everything you say, but that would be objective and tell you when you're wrong in a loving way. Yes? So once again, it was a pleasure having you join us on For Real. I hope that the information that you got here today was good enough to use in your life. It certainly is good enough for me to use in my life. Very good advice. Thank you so much, Krisnan.
My pleasure.
Always a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you.
Such good information. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and joining us on For Real.